Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have an exciting show for you tonight. Casper Leach is standing by here to joint host the show. John Cornett and Jan Sue are in the wings here, ready to play some fantastic music. Did you do that one song you were talking about?
Yes, sir.
All
Candyman
right.
Strut.
Candyman Strut for our friend Gary. So stay tuned, and we've got some film clips that ran. I got to debate a local prosecutor politician guy. We'll talk more about that shortly, but first we'll bring out the infamous dancing Cannabis Lead.
I feel the force.
Here's John Cornett and Jan Sue. Welcome back, folks.
He's a hit at the hemp fest rallies. He's a kick at the hemp stalk too. Strutting with fudge and brownies, and he wants to share with you, 'cause he's the candy man. A sugar shaking fudge making brownie baking son of a gun. He's the candy man. A sugar shaking brownie making baking son of a gun. Oh yeah, strut. He's got a cannabis recipe, coconut and chocolate too. He's a candy-coated brother, spreading sweetness to the crew, 'cause he's a candy man. A sugar shaking fudge making brownie baking son of a gun. He's the candy man. A sugar shaking fudge making brownie baking son of a gun. All right, do the strutting. He's the candy man. A sugar shaking fudge making brownie baking son of a gun. Oh yeah, do the strut.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a great one. I hope he's out there watching. And if you didn't see it this time, you'll see it sometime soon.
And we know the Candy Man, don't we?
We do.
Oh my God, he's great.
Hey, Casper.
Thank you for having me tonight.
Casper Leach is here along with myself, and we have another exciting show for you. If you have a question or comment about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical marijuana patients, give us a call at 503-288-4448. That number is just right down there, 503-288-4448. And we'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour. In fact, we think we have one already.
Nice.
Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Well, you know, our normal sound guy is not here.
It must be a government office. Yeah,
Ooh.
it's a government office. Can't
Well, I
reach them,
hate
can't
that.
get through.
So if you have a call or a question, give us a call at 503-288-4448.
I have a question. Weren't you on TV here recently talking to somebody about marijuana?
I do that a lot. In fact, I'm on TV now.
Nice.
But,
But I mean, like on, with
yeah,
somebody who's like a lawyer or a prosecuting attorney or
exactly.
something like that.
In fact, the vice
Cool.
chair of the National District Attorneys Association from Clatsop County, Astoria, Joshua Marquis.
Hi, Joshua.
And he might see this, you never know. But he came and got to do a little debate on the local ABC affiliate Channel 2, KATU. They have a Sunday morning show, and that's the reason we had a tape show last week, because it coincided with them taping the Sunday morning show for KATU. And so we're going to be, for those of you out there who weren't up at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning watching Channel 2, then we're going to roll that tape here, and we'll be talking about it here in just a bit. But we're going to try to take another phone call.
But you did a good job on that show.
Well, thank you.
Yes, you did.
Welcome to the show, caller. Howdy.
I wanted to know, how come you guys weren't on the air last week? It was really unusual.
Yeah.
I missed you. And also, I want to know, of all those 60-somethings that I challenged to go online to get a single signer page off your website, cannabistaxact.org, and sign it. I want to know how many of these 60-somethings.
You know, they come in without their age attached to them. We don't ask them their date of birth. We just ask them the date that they signed it. But we sure have seen a big pickup in petitions being mailed in, both to the office, and my home address is on them, so I'm getting tons of them at home too. And they're coming in from all over.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I didn't expect you to have a number for me, but I just thought maybe some of them would call in and admit, hey, it's okay.
Well, you
Thanks for
know,
all
we
you
can
do
remind
for
them
us.
again that if you're watching this, you just go to that website, cannabistaxact.org. And if you can't spell cannabis, you can always put OCTA.2012.org. That other, you just put 2012 at the bottom of that, at the back of that, OCTA.
All right, all you 60-something grandmas and grandpas.
Or
do
even
it.
if you're not 60.
Come on. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for calling back in. Yeah, the reason we weren't on last week, as we said a moment ago, is because the folks at Channel 2 wanted to tape a show that coincided with our live show. And so since I don't get an opportunity to go on broadcast television all that often, I decided to go ahead and we ran a quickly produced tape show. But I think it was a pretty good little
It was. I
compilation.
noticed that nobody really got a chance to talk about the industrial hemp aspect of the plant, which was unfortunate. They dominated the time strictly with talking about medical marijuana.
They kept talking about, that guy kept bringing up medical
recreational.
marijuana, and he brought up a lot of different things
Yeah.
that seemed to obfuscate or,
But he
you know.
didn't focus on the jobs, the paper, the fiber,
Of course, he's
the
not
fuel.
going to do that. I tried,
Taxes.
but hey, and I will get better. You guys know that. We have another caller, though. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, it's Michael Magliotti.
Hey, Michael. How's it going
going,
down
brother?
there in Arizona?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, brother.
Thank
hey,
you.
I got everything together for the clinic. The retail space is all set up. I'm getting the booth. I got all the music. The only thing I need from you is to call the lady at Bell Canyon Pavilion. Her website is Lynn Morrison.
Well, I'll tell you what.
LLC.com.
I will call you immediately after the show. I will call you immediately after the show to get all those details and talk about that.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to get in on the show and let you know that
Hey, I'm
I'm
glad you
rocking and
did.
rolling. I watched the thing last night and listened to that friggin' idiot try to say that all these things. I could tell he was lying through his teeth. He's like, stuttering. That guy, it pissed me off so bad. I started medicalmarijuanamafia.com. I own MMM Films, MMM Records, the new MMM Mode. I want to start traveling around with the Sustainable Resources Tour. I'm sorry, I've been up all night making plans. Call me after the show, and we'll talk.
Okay.
Thanks for all your help, Paul.
I got a question.
You made this happen.
Thanks.
I got a question.
We keep trying.
What does he mean? You got a booth at a tent and the music and a lady, and you're going to get together after the show?
I don't know. We're
Wow.
going to find out.
Well,
He's
all
a
right.
good lady to do something. He's quite a dynamo, that Michael.
It's going to be a good Friday night.
My wife won't like that one. My wife won't like
Bring
that
her
at all.
along. Sometimes, things change.
You know, though, we have a video we're going to run here from Channel 2, this little show, so all of you people who didn't see it on the television or the internet can now watch it. So let's go ahead and roll this with all praises and credit due to our local ABC affiliate, Channel 2, KATU TV.
From K2 News, this is your voice, your vote.
And you may soon get to use it to decide whether we should legalize marijuana. Oregonians 21 and older could smoke it, grow it, or buy it in an Oregon store under a measure proposed for the November ballot. Already, it's got some big name support.
This initiative will end adult marijuana prohibition and let our criminal justice officers focus limited resources on real criminals and not on marijuana users like me.
Legalizing marijuana may always be on Willie Nelson's mind. Should it be on yours? Today on Your Voice, Your Vote. And good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn. Petitioners need to collect nearly 88,000 valid signatures by July 6 to get the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act on the November ballot. One supporter says they're already nearly 2/3 of the way there. That person is Chief Petitioner of the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, Paul Stanford, and representing those who think we should not legalize marijuana, Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Markey. Thank you very much, both of you guys, for being here this morning. Paul, why do you want Oregonians to legalize marijuana? Tell me that.
It's our largest cash crop. It is already here to stay. It's much safer than alcohol. There's no reason to treat lawful, law-abiding adults as criminals for using marijuana. I think regulating it will take it out of the hands of the children and substance abusers who control it today, put it in state stores where the age limit's strictly regulated, and enhance public safety, allow law enforcement officers to concentrate on real criminals.
Josh Markey, you agree with any of that?
Almost none of it. It's basically the Let's Make Paul Stanford Even More of a Millionaire Act. He's done very well with what used to be called the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation. He operates, I think, some clinics and dispensaries where 99% of the people, according to newspaper reports, who apply get it. So think of almost any other kind of so-called medical facility where if you go in and say, I really think I need some oxycodone because the pain's bad. And let's be realistic. In Oregon, since for almost 40 years now, the possession of less than an ounce of marijuana has been an infraction. You can't go to jail for it. You can't. It doesn't go down on your record at all. We have made decisions in Oregon to massively decriminalize marijuana. What this would do is basically say, no, we're going to basically allow, and you have to read this. We're going to allow the growers to be the members of the, I think it's called the Oregon Cannabis Commission, and by the way, Paul says there's going to be penalties. Well, it's like $250 if you give it, or if somebody under the age of 21 buys it, or if you gratuitously give it to somebody under age 18, it's a Class A misdemeanor. So in other words, a 30-year-old man who gives marijuana to a 15-year-old girl, it's a misdemeanor. Right now, that's a major felony, and I think a lot of parents would be concerned about it. Marijuana is not the demon drug that it was claimed to be in reefer madness, but this goes way too far.
Paul, let's talk about the clinics that you help patients get approval for medical marijuana cards in Oregon and other states. Your website even says those clinics have up to 100,000 patients get permits for it. If people,
I've got to say
go ahead.
that we only approve about half of the patients that contact us. It's not anywhere like 99%. We require medical records in advance. We review those medical records, make certain the patient has a history of one of the qualifying conditions. Then based upon that, then our doctors set appointments, and then they come in and see the doctor. However, I am not a millionaire. I don't even make $100,000 a year. So I make less than that. So.
Well, you hear it all the time. I know you do, Paul,
Sure.
that people say, you know, anybody can get a medical marijuana card these days. I've got an aching toe or a bad neck, whatever the case.
That might work in some clinics, but that doesn't work in our clinic.
So what are the stipulations then, as far as
You have to have one of the qualifying conditions, whether it be cancer, AIDS, chronic pain is the largest single condition. Usually that involves some sort of compressed or fractured vertebrae in their back. Those are the conditions for medical marijuana. But what we want to do is actually put those clinics out of business and to allow adults to grow their own without a license and to regulate the sales and put the money in the hands of our farmers and our local economy.
Here's what the proposed Oregon Cannabis Tax Act of 2012, or OCTA as they call it, allows. Adults to have marijuana, adults to buy marijuana at state licensed stores, adults to grow their own marijuana, licensed farmers to grow pot for state licensed stores. Now, we asked K2 Facebook followers whether they think legalizing marijuana is a good idea. We got this reaction from a woman named Lori. Lori says, bad idea. Why not legalize heroin, cocaine, and LSD while we're at it? Do you people think this is going to help? We already have enough drug addicts and kids of addicts as it is. Now some folks think we should just say, okay, go ahead. We're truly a state that is nuts. You guys want to respond to Lori? Why don't you start out, Paul? Go ahead.
We want to take marijuana out of the black market, which will lessen people's access to these other truly dangerous drugs, and to treat marijuana as it deserves to be treated, as a substance that's safer than alcohol. And I really believe that once we do legalize and regulate the sale of marijuana, then the industrial products made from hemp, whether it's fuel, fiber, or food, those are going to dwarf the drug market and create thousands of sustainable jobs here in Oregon.
Does Paul have a point? Does it take it out of the black market, Josh?
No, it won't, for a couple of reasons. If you think about all of the other drugs, including alcohol, and alcohol is a certain drug, and if alcohol came about today and you described the things, it would probably be at least a Schedule II drug, meaning that doctors would have to license it. But unfortunately, it's in our culture. When we had tried to prohibition, it failed enormously. But in 1998, voters in Oregon were sold a bill of goods. They were told that to be compassionate, there are people who absolutely will benefit from marijuana medically. People with wasting syndrome associated with AIDS, people with nausea undergoing chemotherapy, people with glaucoma. There are something like, almost, Paul knows the numbers far better than I, over 50,000 cards. Oregon has more per capita than California. 90%, 95% of the people do not have the conditions that the original proponents told us that was going to be. Now, basically, the most common one, and again, Paul can contradict me, is severe pain. And so and my drug cops tell me all the time, they've given up really trying to prosecute any marijuana cases because everybody comes up with a marijuana card. One of the things that they're going to talk about is Willie Nelson, who doesn't have any association with Oregon other than coming through occasionally. He and his entire entourage, they all have medical marijuana cards. I think they can have as much as a pound at any one time. We're talking about an enormous amount of dope. And one of the questions, I think Lori's right, just because alcohol has become a poison and a terrible, affliction on our society, and marijuana probably isn't as bad, but do you really want to be driving with your family back after a ski trip on a rainy, snowy night on Highway 26 and know that the person who's driving a semi the other way has just had a dose of their medical marijuana? I don't think so, because people driving cars have to have 100% of their wits. And, Steve, we cannot measure all of it. Alcohol, oxycodone, benzodiazepines. We can measure whether that drug is in their system and about how much. Marijuana is unique. It's fat soluble, and we can't tell if somebody smoked a joint 2 hours ago, 2 weeks ago, or 2 months ago.
We sent our camera to the streets of Portland. Put comments on this particular subject. Here's one of the responses. Let's play that.
I don't even think we would notice a difference. It would be business as usual. The government might get some extra revenue, and a few people might get stoned. So what?
What do you think? Business as usual? What do you think?
I couldn't hear him, so that made it something of a.
He said, I can read it. I don't even think it would make a difference. It would be business as usual. The government might get additional revenue. A few people might get stoned. So what?
Well, here's the problem. Again, take all of the kinds of intoxicants that exist in the world. Alcohol, methamphetamine, opiates. All of these are relatively complicated to make. Yes, you can make methamphetamine in your garage. Unfortunately, people do. I don't think anybody here is advocating legalizing meth. Yes, you can make hooch. It's not easy. The one thing that makes this make no sense at all is marijuana is a weed. It grows. The viewer was right. It grows everywhere. So if we have these stores and which are run essentially by growers, according to this, and by the way, have the Attorney General enforcing it. I've got news from Mr. Stanford. The Attorney General has no original criminal jurisdiction in the state of Oregon under the Oregon Constitution. Only the 36 DAs like me do, and that's just not in there. But the fact of the matter is, people who don't want to go to a government store, a government-regulated store, they're going to continue growing it. There's going to still be a black market for it. It's just not going to go into Mr. Stanford's pocket, and people like him.
You heard the gentleman.
Well, I'm not trying to put it in my pocket. I'm trying to put it in the hands of the whole state economy. I think that no one is not using marijuana because of the criminal law. There's not a big line of people waiting to use marijuana as soon as the law changes. It's not going to really impact that. What it will do is it will put it into the legitimate market and regulate it and let the true science come out on it. You know, when's the last time there was a St. Valentine's Day massacre? It was back when alcohol was prohibited. We don't see that happening with alcohol today. It will take the criminal element out of it and enhance public safety.
What about Josh's comment he made earlier? I want you to respond to that, where he said you're driving down the road after a ski trip with your family and there's the guy in the semi who's just smoked some medical marijuana. Your thoughts about that?
Well, it's not going to just be medical marijuana. It's going to be adult social use of marijuana, and they could be doing that today. In fact, they're more likely to do it. Since we've legalized medical marijuana, the use of marijuana by those under 18 in the state of Oregon has gone down, and it's gone down in every state that has allowed medical marijuana. Making it a medicine doesn't make it more attractive to youngsters. What we want to do is regulate it. Right now, youngsters have easier access to it than many adults. We want to change that.
Isn't the concern, though, if you do legalize marijuana, you will have more people behind the wheel who have just smoked some pot?
I don't believe so. I think that the people who want to smoke pot are doing so today.
All right, here we go. Another K2 Facebook follower brings up this point. Trish says, I think it should be legalized. If it's legal, it should be treated like alcohol, not at work or driving. And this also means the police can focus more on the hard drugs that are the real issues in our society. Your response to that, Josh?
Well, let's be clear. When we're not spending a lot of time, and Paul actually sort of touched on that, going at, we do not have marijuana strike teams in Oregon like they do in California. You have to remember something else, is that the federal government has something called a supremacy clause, and whether it's the Obama administration, which also, by the way, doesn't tolerate it, marijuana is a Schedule I drug. Now, I wrote an opinion piece in the Oregonian about 8 years ago. If marijuana is a medicine, then treat it as a medicine. In other words, let doctors prescribe it and administer it not through some bizarre group of, stores run by the growers, but through pharmacies, if it really is a medicine. And I think it really is a medicine for some people. But the fact of the matter is, we're not spending, you can't go to jail in Oregon. Well, you can't go to jail at all for possessing less than an ounce. If you're caught with 1.5 pounds of marijuana, a judge can't give you more than about 10 days in jail. We're just not spending our resources on it now.
You want to respond to this?
Medical marijuana is something that we have today, and our initiative will make it where adults can use marijuana. So it'll also put it in pharmacies, where at the doctor's prescription, they'll be able to go into pharmacies and obtain it. There just needs to be a legal system to do that. The state of Oregon has already taken marijuana off the Schedule I narcotics, so it is a Schedule II here in the state of Oregon, or at the legislature's behest, the Board of Pharmacy set it as a Schedule II. There's just no legal access to it. Under our proposal, patients will get it at cost cost through pharmacies. And what's sold to adults through state stores will be taxed, and medical marijuana won't be taxed.
Well, but I got to respond, Steve. The problem with the scheduling is when this came before the Oregon Board of Pharmacy, Paul and other marijuana advocates wanted it to be a Schedule 5, which is what cough syrup and diarrhea medicine is, where you can get almost unlimited refills. Schedule 2 is, and the other part is, I'm sorry, but no doctor who has, if you ever get a prescription, you'll notice there's a little thing called a DEA number at the top. That's what allows the doctor to prescribe controlled substances, which marijuana is a controlled substance, currently Schedule 1. Any doctor that writes a prescription for marijuana, this is one of the great frauds of the Oregon medical, oh, I have a prescription for it. No, you don't. There is an exception in the criminal law for if you can get a doctor to say, I think Steve Lumbago could really benefit from a good joint. Then you take that card down, and that all they're going to do is check and make sure you're Steve Dunn, you're over 18, and you live where you say you are. They're going to give you a card, and you can get all the marijuana you want. So I think, as one of the viewers said, why pump so much more of another drug that may not be certainly as harmful as alcohol or heroin or methamphetamine, but do we really want more drugs in more people's hands?
I want to make it clear my lumbago is fine, by the way. But, Paul, the OCTA website says legalizing marijuana will increase public safety, restore respect for the law. How so?
It will take it out of the black market. Currently, people try marijuana and see it's not nearly as harmful as alcohol, and so this will set up a reasonable standard of control and regulate that market.
Here are some of the concerns expressed by people we talked to out on the streets. Let's play this one.
My gut reaction is I don't like the repercussions of any drug being available to anyone, especially those who could have the tendency to abuse.
Additional impairments made legal don't seem to make sense to me.
Did you hear any of that, Josh?
Yeah, I did, and I think they both make a good point. The idea is, you know, the fact of the matter is, I grew up in Southern California in the 1960s. I went to the University of Oregon in the 70s, and our viewers, if you say a lid, only those over the age of 40 will know what I'm talking about. A lid used to be about an ounce of marijuana, and it sold for about 10 or 15 bucks. And if you smoked marijuana back in about 1971, you had to smoke most of a joint in order to get high. That's because the THC content, the tetrahydrocannabinol, the cannabinoids, which are the active ingredient that is the reason that people do that instead of smoking banana peels, has gone from 2% to as much as 25%. And the cost of marijuana and on the free market as it is now runs anywhere from $200 to $1,000. Paul also said, oh, we know law enforcement resources are being wasted. Not in Oregon, but if you look to the southern borders where we have absolutely no control, we have a basically narco-terrorism war going on in Mexico. A lot of it over marijuana, where policemen and judges are being killed, their families are being wiped out, basically because of the demand in the United States. Now, I don't think letting more people smoke marijuana, and this, by the way, people should read this law. This basically says that we have to change, that somehow Oregon can change the international conventions to which the United States is party, and you just can't do that.
Well, I'm going to give you a chance to respond before we go to break here, Paul. Go ahead.
We impose a system of controls mandated in international treaties. So the licensing scheme that we outline in our proposal is actually lifted from the international treaties. Also, we set up a system of findings by the people as to why we can depart from federal control. And the Controlled Substances Act, which is Title 21 of the U.S. Code, at Section 903, says that states can regulate controlled substances differently. So even though we have federal supremacy under the Constitution, the Controlled Substances Act says explicitly that states can decide to control it differently.
We talked about this a little bit, but you hear people say, just legalize it, tax it so the state can make some money. But is that really the reality, or are they just blowing smoke? That's coming up next.
Well, you can see that the guy had a lot of crazy ideas there, and he's lifted a lot of what he's talking about from this book that the Drug Enforcement Administration put out there called How to Hold Your Own in a Drug Legalization Debate. Now, the very name of this federal publication says itself, you're not going to win this debate, you can only hold your own. And because all the facts are on our side, so it's pretty easy to win the debate, even with a guy like this. Josh Markey is the district attorney of Clatsop County. 2 days before this was taped last week, he had testified before the United States Senate the Senate Judiciary Committee, Pat Leahy's Judiciary Committee, and he is also has been the vice president of the National District Attorneys Association, and he's one of their spokespeople. If you go to their website, he's right up at the top there with his testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee. And I don't think he did very well in that. I mean, almost everything he said was wrong. But in the book, How to Hold Your Own in a Drug Legalization Debate, they say, obscure the point. Talk about other drugs. Don't talk about a regulatory scheme. Focus on minutia and detail. So he's obviously taking some of the points from the DAs.
And I noticed that he even used expressions that like waste time, like as a matter of fact and straight to the point, and let me get to it, and then tell a little silly story to waste more time. And he liked to use words like pot, dope, whereas here you're utilizing words like medical marijuana, cannabis, cannabis sativa. You're talking facts, you're talking information. He even made our points for us when he says that there's this horrific war going down there in California and the border of Mexico, and it's absolutely right, because we had this illegal substance that you are taught in law school that prohibition makes very valuable, and by making it valuable you give the underground market a chance to grow and survive. And if you made this plant legal, you would absolutely dry up 80% of all the crime in the country. But you know that, but you don't want to say that, Josh.
We have a caller. Let's go ahead and take a caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Maybe it's Josh.
I doubt it. Hello, caller, are you there?
Hello?
Hello. We can hear you now.
No, I was, sorry about that.
It's okay.
No, I was just saying, to the reception, I had a lot of medical issues, and I took on pain pills for over 10 years, and I damn near died over those 2 years ago. I had an accident overdose. And I know I'm not going to overdose on marijuana.
No, you'll have a lot better quality of life. You know, if only Whitney Houston had been using marijuana last month, if only Michael Jackson had just been using marijuana, both of them would be with us today.
Yeah, and like I mean, I'm 45 years old now.
Oh, you're a youngster.
And, well, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of miles. No, I did the other stuff, or some of it. I ran hard for a while, and that's probably why I'm in bad health now and can't work.
Yeah, that probably had an effect.
And having COPD, along with breaking my ankle and everything, it compounds everything with the pain pills over the years was for the ankle that I broke 12 years ago.
Do you have a medical marijuana permit?
Not yet, but...
Well, we can help you get one. There's the conditions. If you have any of those conditions, then we have doctors who will be happy to help you get off those pain pills and use medical marijuana instead. You can call anywhere in the United States, actually. We have viewers all over the country. That's going out on Ustream.tv. And you can call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. If you're here in the Portland area, you can call us locally at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We have doctors who can help you get a medical marijuana permit all across the United States. So I hope we can help you.
That's kind of what I'm looking for, like I said.
All right, well, thanks for calling. And
thank you for your help.
One of the dangerous things, you're welcome. Thank you. One of the dangerous things about marijuana prohibition is people get in and try marijuana and they see it's not that bad for you, and they think, well, if marijuana's not that bad, maybe they're lying about heroin. Maybe they're lying about these other truly dangerous drugs. So, some people say that marijuana is a gateway drug. It's a gateway to the black market. When we take marijuana out of the black market, the use of all these other substances will decline dramatically.
And with Jack Hare, when I used to work for Jack Hare, there was 3 or 4 times when he and Captain Ed and I actually tried to overdose on smoking marijuana. Couldn't do it.
Doesn't work, does it? Well, we have a little bit more of this that we're going to run. We've got a couple more segments. We're going to run it throughout the rest of the show, and we'll be back, take a couple more phone calls, and with a little bit more commentary. So enjoy. going to roll here any minute now. I think. Maybe not.
All right. Well, then I got another question. Why is it that this man is dedicated and ending prohibition for us? I mean, he doesn't seem to realize it, but he's giving our side of the story when he talks.
Well, I don't think he means to do that anyway. You know, there's a few things he says that definitely don't help his position.
You mean?
But he's trying to win the debate there.
You mean he's that incompetent?
Hearts and minds.
He's that
no,
incompetent
he's
on
not
purpose?
doing it on purpose. No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
not at all.
Just the way he is.
Not at all.
Okay.
So we will be taking your questions and phone calls right after this clip. So if you have a question or phone call or comment, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And we'll be taking your comments and questions shortly. So, you know, he kept bringing up things about our clinic and kept talking about medical marijuana, and he's trying to obfuscate. This isn't about medical marijuana. This is about ending adult marijuana prohibition. And so we need your help to put this important issue on the ballot. So if you can help us, if you can gather signatures or make a contribution, just go to our website there at OCTA2012.org or CannabisTaxAct.org. You can print out a single signature petition sheet, sign it, and mail it in or bring it to our office. You can make a contribution and our volunteer to help more in our effort. Just go to OCTA.org, and that will redirect you to CannabisTaxAct.org.
And do they really not do arrests in this state? Are they not using?
That's not true. There's a lot of people in jail for marijuana
So
right
that's
now.
what I
In fact, we went to the statistics, and just for simple possession of less than an ounce of marijuana in Clatsop County, his own county, there were about 150 people arrested there last year. And during his whole tenure as district attorney, there have been hundreds of people arrested for simple possession of marijuana there in
So he was
Clatsop
wrong
County.
about that too?
He was wrong about almost everything he said.
Wow. What do you know?
Yep. Well, you know, that's the thing. They are wrong, and we have the truth and facts on our side. We just have to get this campaign in front of our voters. And
Well, that's also Steve Hager goes around the United States and he debates somebody who's who does it? Liddy, is that the guy's name? But they've got this agreement before the debates that neither side will win because they want people to show up and watch the debates. And the guy from who used to work in the DEA office has even told Hager he knows that he couldn't win the argument.
Well, it's a book. It says How to
Hold.
Hold Your Own. That alone says that's a DEA book.
So they
about
won't
how
come
to
out
debate.
unless you agree not to beat them in a debate.
Well, we're trying to beat them, and we're trying to put this initiative on the ballot
You
so
don't play
that
fair
we
then.
can end adult marijuana prohibition, restore industrial hemp. We have a telephone caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
Yep, we're here. Hello. Turn your TV down.
I just wanted
Won't
to say
feedback.
that,
What is? Yeah, go ahead.
okay. I just wanted to say that the district attorney is kind of a scary thing. He's like a red-faced tyrant, and I wouldn't say that he's beyond twisting facts and obscuring the truth and all that.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what they do, and that's how they implemented prohibition. You know, cannabis was prohibited based on racist lies. The whole name marijuana reeks of the anti-Hispanic nature of the propaganda campaign that they had to criminalize cannabis. You know, at the time, it was like that movie Reefer Madness from 1937. They said that using marijuana causes you to go crazy and kill your family and friends.
Wow.
Well, I've never seen that happen except in that movie Reefer Madness.
Right.
And so, it's all based on lies. It's the whole drug issue is a smokescreen. It's not about drugs. It's about money and the continued centralization of economic and political control. It's about the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, elite, fascists, ruling class and their prohibiting cannabis so that we don't drive our cars on biodiesel fuel, we don't make our homes out of hemp fiber, we don't make our clothing out of that and our paper. They want to sell us this synthetic subversion of our natural cycle, and that's what marijuana prohibition is really about.
And by smoking marijuana, I feel more mellow, and I don't feel inclined to kill my family and friends.
It's, as John Prine saying, an illegal smile, you know,
Yeah.
and so it's something.
Are you going to cut them to ribbons like that? And when was this thing?
It was taped exactly a week ago. In fact, we ran a tape show last week because KATU wanted to tape this, but it aired on Channel 2, KATU, last Sunday morning at 9 a.m. But it's currently on our website, on YouTube, on cannabistaxact.org. You can click on it, watch it, or you can go to katu.com and click on politics, and you can watch it on the KATU website. In fact, they've got tons of comments on there. There's a big debate going on there on KATU. You can join in that if you like.
And I think the only
thing
that Paul did that I wouldn't have done is that Paul was polite and he let the guy speak, whereas I would have just jumped right in there and said, "Excuse me, but you're wrong."
Well, we have some more of that video ready to roll, so we're going to go ahead and roll it.
All right.
So stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody. This morning we're talking about the possibility of a ballot measure that would legalize marijuana in this state. We asked what you think, and some of you mentioned it might be a good source of revenue for the state of Oregon.
Yeah, they'd have to have it set up like the liquor stores. The liquor stores for that, then they would have to have dispensaries for that. So there's going to be some administrative costs, but I think the return, you know, would be worth it to help out the state revenue.
Paul, you think this is a good moneymaker, don't you?
We think it'll raise $400 million over a 2-year biennium.
And where do you get those numbers?
From Harvard economist Jeffrey Myron. He made that estimate. And so 2/3 of that is revenue into the state, and 120 million of that 400 million would be savings in criminal justice costs, like the DA of Clatsop County wouldn't have to spend any more time on marijuana prosecutions when it comes to cultivation for personal use anyway.
Josh, he's making your job easier for you.
Well, I could probably repay you right now with a $10 bill for the amount of money that I spent prosecuting personal marijuana consumption in Clatsop County and pretty much the other counties. The fact of the matter is, I don't think we want to become the stoner state even more than we are. The fact of the matter is, marijuana is widely available. It is in fact a drug. It is, and if it is a medicine, as Oregonians were sold, the whole idea of the 1998 Marijuana Act was not to commercialize it exactly as Paul is suggesting. It was the idea that it's so easy to grow that you give people cards and let people be caregivers. And as Paul himself pointed out, it's not hard to come by. All this will do is cause an explosion of more of a drug, which under certain circumstances probably isn't that harmful. But I don't want people driving under the influence of it. And if people should look at this law and see what the penalties are, they're anemic. They're virtually non-existent.
Let me ask you a question. If we're not really prosecuting it now, why not just make it legal then?
Because we are sending a message saying, you know, it's okay to use a mind-altering substance and presumably to our kids. If I could wave a magic wand, I would get rid of alcohol. It's probably way more dangerous than marijuana. We already took steps. In 1973, we decriminalized it. The idea of kicking the door open. The other thing we cannot get away from is the federal government, whether it's under Obama or somebody else, is simply not going to tolerate this. What he's talking about the Controlled Substances Act is states have the ability to become more tough and restrict more, like we did with pseudoephedrine because of methamphetamine. But we don't have the right to legalize drugs that are illegal.
What do you think? Obama folks going to go along with you?
I think that we have created a bill that will be upheld in federal court. And a lot of this debate has been going over the Medical Marijuana Act. And what we want to do is go beyond that and take the stigma out of marijuana, allow it to be a real medicine that doctors can prescribe through pharmacies. We specifically designed this to be upheld in federal court, and I believe it will be upheld.
Can I take another break? Come back right after this. Welcome back. Before we go, I'm going to give each of our guests a chance to say why they think marijuana should or should not become legal in this state. Let's start with Paul Stanford. Go ahead, Paul. You have about 40 seconds.
Well, you know, he said several times that you should read this law, and I really believe people should read this law. If they do, they'll find that George Washington cultivated hemp and even received a package of hashish, he said, was a real curiosity that he would make more time for. Thomas Jefferson invented a device to process marijuana stems into fiber. And Willie Nelson's been arrested the past few years several times for marijuana. They're arresting Willie Nelson. He would have George Washington and Thomas Jefferson arrested. And they'd be turning over in their graves if they found out about this. I really believe that marijuana is a bellwether issue for the future of freedom. If the government can prohibit this harmless substance, then the future of freedom is indeed dire. And
Your final thoughts, Josh Markey?
Coca-Cola originally had cocaine in it, too. That's not a good reason to make cocaine legal. There is really no stigma attached to the use of marijuana in the state of Oregon. First, we were convinced 14 years ago to be compassionate, to have medical marijuana. We did. Now we have more per capita marijuana cards. 19-year-old skateboarders say, oh, I got a pain, boom, they go to one of his clinics, they get it. Do we really want to become known as the state that is going to push another intoxicant off on the public and blow the doors open and be known as the place where the state of Oregon is going to make money? As they said in this, it is a relatively non-addictive drug. Compared to what?
We shall see. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here this morning. Appreciate it. We'll see if you get your signatures. We'll follow this story very, very closely. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. See you on Monday.
Well, we need your help to get those signatures. So go to that website right now, print out a petition, and sign it and send it in, or bring it to our office there on Northeast Sandy. Or come down to our office and pick up some of those signatures. If you are looking for a job, we are hiring petitioners right now. You can start making up to $10 to $20 an hour. So, and in some cases over $20 an hour if you're a productive petitioner. We are looking for people who can walk and talk and go out and get signatures. If you need a job and you want to help us put this on the ballot, give us a call at 503-235-4606. You know, this guy was wrong in almost everything he said there. He said compared to what? Why is marijuana relatively non-addictive compared to other drugs? It's almost any other substance. Marijuana is by far safer than any other substance that has any sort of social property.
And if he could, he would outlaw liquor.
With his magic wand.
That's right. Whoosh. I mean, this is what is up with this?
More
prohibition. Let's outlaw more. Let's make people more criminal. You know, this is what is up.
We have a caller who's standing by. Let's see if we can bring him up here. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm a Vietnam veteran.
Uh-huh.
And
thank you for your service.
They want to feed me. What?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. But anyhow, they want to feed me all these fucking, pills.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a little apprehensive because after 35 years, they want to give me all these pills, and I really don't think I need them.
Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is with current medicine, they've got a one-size-fits-all thing. So if a pill helps 25% of the people, 100% of them get it. So we need to tailor medicine to meet an individual's need, not have a one-size-fits-all policy.
But if I don't take their pills, do I lose my benefits?
No.
Is my question.
No, you won't lose your benefits if you don't take their pills. It won't affect you. I'm a disabled veteran myself after the Vietnam era. And I can tell you, if you don't take their pills, will have no impact on your VA benefits. So I hope that calms your nerves on that. In fact, the federal government has come out and said that if you live in a state like Oregon, Washington, California, or any of the other 13 medical marijuana states, and you are a veteran, that they can't that you can use medical marijuana, that they won't hold your use of medical marijuana against you. The Veterans Administration came out about 1.5 years ago and said that veterans will not be harmed in any way by the VA. They won't be cut off from their benefits or any of their medications if they're going through the VA, simply because they use medical marijuana with a state permit. So you can be rest assured on that point as well.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear that. You know, I want to compliment you two guys up there. You know, about 15 years ago or 10, I don't know, been a while, my sister come down. She had MS, and you helped her out, Paul, and I want to thank you.
I'm glad I could help. You know, MS patients, cannabis is particularly helpful for most MS patients. It's shown to slow the progression of multiple sclerosis and other neurodegenerative diseases. To me, denying multiple sclerosis patients cannabis is akin to murder. And I've seen MS patients. Yeah, it really does. It helps a lot. And for them to say it's not a medicine, especially for an MS patient, is particularly cruel.
Yeah, they're medical terrorists, as Ed Rosenthal calls them.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I'm glad I could help. You're very welcome. I hope it's helped your sister.
You guys are great. Keep it up, Bob.
Thank you. Thanks for your call. We have about 5 more minutes. We might get another call or two, and you can call us at 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls. Now, I want to urge you once again, you know, to go out and get this petition, sign it, get it to our office. If you need a job, we'd be happy to hire you as a signature gatherer. We need signature gatherers. For any of those, you can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We have one more caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. Yeah.
And, I got some plants indoors right now, and you know, this crazy weather we're having and stuff, I'm kind of confused when we can actually start to get our spring going, you know, and transplant stuff outside, you know. They're kind of turning yellow, and I'm kind of confused of what to do at this point.
You probably need more nitrogen. Are they, if they're turning yellow, you probably need a little bit more nitrogen, or transplant them to a larger container. The bigger container they're in, the better they'll do when you do transplant them outdoors. And the time to transplant them outdoors is sometime between April 20th and April 30th is the best time around here. You can put them in after that as well, but you don't want to put them in until there's at least about 13.5 hours of daylight, because that'll trigger them to go into the flower cycle. And you don't want them to do that until next September.
Right. Well, you know, I know we all missed this spring weather we're supposed to have, but I guess we're going to come late this year, huh?
Well, you know, Oregon, I've worn a coat and sweater right up till the end of June before. You just never know around here.
Okay.
But, you know, the ideal thing is to have a dry fall, you know, not a lot of rain in September and October, and that's the best thing for the cannabis harvest season.
Okay, well, thank you, and hopefully y'all have a good crop this season, and good luck, and restore hemp.
So everybody out there can have a good crop, and so no one has to go pay the state a fee to be able to grow the most productive plant on this planet. Cannabis, hemp, produces more fiber, more food, more fuel, and more medicine than any other plant on this planet. In fact, just the whole idea that they've taken the plant that produces more fiber for building materials, for paper, for canvas, rope, lace, and linen. They've taken that plant that produces more protein for nutrition, more oil for fuel, and for all the materials that you can make out of petroleum, and makes more medicine than any other plant. They've taken the plant that makes more than all of those, and they've made it illegal. That is evil, don't you think?
It is. It's very evil.
Yeah.
Very evil. I do want to say it was unusually interesting and nice that we did find somebody from the opposition to actually sit down and at least attempt a discussion with someone on our side. I don't think I've seen that very often.
You don't get to debate them very often because they know they'll lose.
We need to let Josh know that we did appreciate him giving us a chance to show why it is that we need to restore hemp back to our economy.
And you know, Josh does do a few good things out there. I know he's on the board of directors for the Animal Defense League.
Nice.
And he's been a steward of his county's criminal justice system. One thing I don't like is he's a big proponent for the death penalty, but he doesn't think it should be applied all that often. And he is a spokesperson for the National District Attorneys Association and on the American Bar Association's criminal justice panel. So he's a reputable guy. He's just on the wrong side of the fence on this. and he's got his facts all wrong. You know, we will not make it where people can drive under the influence of marijuana. The DUI laws will continue as they are today, so there will be no change in that. Also, for someone who sells marijuana to a youngster, it remains a Class B felony, just like manslaughter and rape is. So the laws that we proposed, I think, are particularly just. I don't think he's read it. He said people should read it.
Right.
I hope you do read it, because
Yes,
you'll learn
please.
quite a bit from it.
Yeah. And I love the industrial hemp aspect of it that is actually written into it, so that when it passes, we can actually create jobs and demonstrate to the world the 50,000 different products that we can make in our own backyard. I love it, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. So we need your help. Go out there and get the petition. You can come to our volunteer meeting every Tuesday at our office at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard. You can go to our website at cannabistaxact.org, print out the petition. You know, in fact, here in Oregon, you get a political income tax credit of up to $50 a person or $100 for married couples filing jointly. So if you go online and make that, you love that word, you make a contribution, the state of Oregon will pay that back to you when you file your income taxes next year. So please go out there and donate. Every dollar you donate helps us pay a petitioner to gather another signature, or every signature you gather saves us from having to pay $1 to hire somebody to go out there and gather that signature.
And if we all work jointly, we can make a big joint effort and get this joint initiative passed.
You love saying that word, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, we're about out of time.
Really?
I want to thank
Gonna
you
smoke a
folks for
joint?
watching. It's just gone pretty quick. You know, I don't smoke. I like my vaporizer.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't cough nearly as much as I used to since I started using my vaporizer almost 10 years ago. So I recommend the vaporizer.
Nowhere without it. Paul's got it in a suitcase. It's really interesting.
But anyway, tune in next week. We'll
show.
be back and help us restore hemp. Oh, I forgot.
Ganja, me want to grow Mary ganja. Stick it in the ground, water it down, Mary ganja. That's right, marijuana. Ganja, me like Mary ganja. Ganja, me like to use Mary ganja.
Oh yeah.
For food's a medicine, prohibition must end. Mary ganja.
Mary ganja.
That's right.
Yeah.
Take it away, baby.